people disagree about whether there should be age limits for the three branches of the US government. Some of your neighbors say caps will protect the country from leaders who stay in power after their bodies and minds slow down. Others say that age limits would push out the wise public servants and block voters from ever choosing the candidates that they want in power. Underneath that fight sits the questions about health, fairness, democracy, and how power passes from one generation to the next generation. By the end of this video, you will see how different people experience age limits in very different ways, and how you can think through those trade-offs in your head. First, it helps to define the idea. Age limits here means rules that stop people from serving in office after they reach a certain birthday. For example, ending service at 75 years old. The three branches means Congress in the legislative branch, the president in the executive branch, and the Supreme Court in the judicial branch. Right now, Constitution sets minimum ages for representatives, senators, presidents, but sets no maximum age limit for any branch. And Supreme Court justices serve with life tenure. Supporters see age limits as safety systems that can lower the risk of leaders serving through serious physical or cognitive decline. As people age, the chance of stroke, dementia, or sudden health crises arises. And recent public episodes by very senior officials have enhanced those fears. In that view, a clear retirement age gives voters and institutions a predictable way to plan for turnover instead of waiting for a crisis. You might feel drawn to this argument if you worry about what could happen in a war or a recession or a pandemic, when key decisions rest on someone who may not be fully able to respond. Some people also argue that age limits can keep the government closer to the public it serves. Surveys from Pew Research Center find that 79% of Americans favor maximum age limits for elected officials in Washington, and 74% support limits for Supreme Court justices. Reformers point to proposals like a House resolution that would bar people from being elected to federal office if they would be 75 or older during their term, which they see as a way to refresh leadership regularly. For many younger voters, this kind of rule seems positive because it opens space more often for new generations to come in and different life experiences in all of the three branches. Critics of age limits see serious harm in that same idea. They argue that blunt age caps treat all older adults as if they share the same health and ability, even though researchers and gerontologists show that people of the same age can have very different physical and cognitive status. In a public debate hosted by CNN, one expert opposing age limits said it is wrong to remove someone's chance to serve only because of a single birth date, since voters can judge each candidate's fitness themselves. If you value individual assessment over group rules, this mechanism of blanket exclusion may look unfair and discriminatory. Opponents also worry about what is lost when experience is cut, short. Senior lawmakers and judges often hold deep institutional memory, long relationships across party lines, and detailed knowledge of complex policy areas. If an age rule forces them out on a fixed date, the system may lose mentors, deal makers, and legal thinkers whose skills still help the public. And power can shift toward younger staff or unelected actors. Some scholars who study Supreme Court reform warn that frequent forced turnover may cause rapid swings in legal doctrine and make the law feel less stable to you and to other citizens. There is also a psychological side to the harm. In a survey of judges about possible Supreme Court reforms, one Ohio judge described being forced to leave the bench at 70 years old under a state age rule and saw that rule as unfair compared with life tenure on the Supreme Court. Older voters may hear national age caps the same way, as a sign that their generation's voice matters less, especially when they can point to leaders in their 80s who still seem sharp and engaged. For people who admire these figures, an age limit would feel less like a protection and more like having a trusted representative taken away by rule and not by choice. When you look at the bigger picture, it becomes easier to see why reasonable people land on two different sides. The United States has an aging population and a political class that skews even older than that. So worries about a gerontocracy mix with respect for elders and fear of age bias. Pew Research Centers report that strong majorities in both major parties say they support maximum age limits for elected officials and Supreme Court justices. Yet they may emphasize different branches depending on which party holds power in each one. That means debates about wage limits are partly about neutral rules and partly about which specific leaders would win or lose under those rules right now. Seems pretty fair. Values about how to measure fitness also shape the conflict. Some scholars argue that term limits or regular medical and cognitive checks might target actual capacity better than a simple birthday rule. But those tools raise their own concerns about who designs the test and how those results could be used. Others prefer age caps because they see them as clear and it's simple and less open to political meddling than subjective exams that could be used to sideline rivals. Your comfort level may depend on whether you trust expert panels, party leaders, or fixed constitutional rules more. Personal experience plays a quiet but powerful role. If you have watched an older loved one decline quickly, you may feel that firm upper age limits in high-stakes roles are a basic safety step. If you know many elders who stay sharp and active into their 80s and 90s, or if you are older yourself, strict age cutoffs may look like ageism dressed up as reform. Thoughtful commentators on aging warn that focusing only on birthdays can hide deeper issues such as campaign finance, weak party recruitment, and lack of civic engagement by younger people, which all shape who reaches top office. To decide what you think, it helps to start by asking what problem you most want to solve. You might list whether your top concern is cognitive decline in office, lack of generational turnover, age discrimination, legal disability, or something else. And then see which mix of tools best fits that list. As you hear politicians or commentators talk about age limits, you can watch for red flags, such as proposals aimed at just one opponent, claims that age alone predicts ability, or promises that one rule will fix every problem. In the end, your view about age limits for the three branches will rest on how you balance fairness to older citizens, the need for capable decision makers, and your trust in voters to judge leaders case by case. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, and only if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe as it helps a lot. Thank you and have a good day.